The wastes of Crython were a place where few dared tread. Black sand stretched for miles, swirling in violent dust storms that glowed faintly with the residual energy of long-dead reactors buried beneath the surface. Crumbling towers of abandoned cities jutted from the horizon like broken teeth. Here, lawlessness was not the exception, it was the rule. Kale Ryder had learned that lesson the hard way. He was a human, a rare one in these parts, and he was running out of options. For days, he had been pursued by the Reavers, a gang of cyborg mercenaries who thrived on fear and pillaging. His only weapon was his body, his wit, and a stubborn refusal to die quietly. The sky turned an ominous violet as Kale ducked behind the jagged remains of a high-rise, listening. The Reavers' mechanical feet clanged against metal debris. Their leader, a towering cyborg with a half-melted faceplate, stepped forward. "You can't hide forever, human," the leader growled. "Surrender and maybe we won't fry you first." Kale's chest heaved, muscles tensed, his knuckles white. He was cornered, but he refused to give up. His father had taught him something simple yet profound: the human body is a weapon if you know its limits. He exhaled slowly, wiped the blood from a cut above his brow, and stepped into the open. Barehanded. The Reavers laughed. The sound was metallic, distorted, and cruel. Kale didn't flinch. The human's strength. He moved like water and fire combined. Each Reaver approached with mechanical precision, each fell with human instinct. His fists struck circuits, broke metal plating, and used the enemy's weight against them. The wind caught his hair, sand whipping around him as sparks flew from torn wires and scorched metal. Watching from a distance, hidden among the ruins, was Lysera. Lysera was an alien woman from the planet Virelia, a world of towering spires, oceans of liquid crystal, and a society where combat was revered but only among the elite. Her skin shimmered a soft metallic blue, veins glowing faintly with bioenergy. Eyes wide and unblinking, she witnessed Kale's fight, the raw intensity of his human determination. He doesn't even have a weapon," she whispered to herself, breath caught in awe. The fight lasted minutes that felt like hours. Kale dodged, spun, and struck, using every part of his body to survive. When the last Reaver hit the sand with a heavy clang, Lysera's hand flew to her chest. "I wish he was mine," she breathed, barely above the sound of the wind. It was a dangerous thought. Lysera was a princess, trained in the highest arts of her people, expected to maintain decorum and follow political strategy. To desire a human, an outsider, was almost taboo. Yet, she couldn't deny the pull, the respect, and the fascination that Kale's courage inspired. Middle, an unlikely alliance. Kale was battered but alive. His clothes torn, his hands bleeding, he didn't notice Lysera approaching until she was right in front of him. Her presence was commanding, otherworldly, yet not threatening. "You fight well," she said, her voice calm but carrying weight. "Better than any of my guards." Kale blinked. Thanks." Lysera tilted her head, scanning the Reaver's remains. "You should not have survived this far alone. You are reckless, human." "I prefer determined," Kale replied, flexing his wrists. "And, thanks for the compliment." For the first time, she smiled, small, hesitant, almost human in expression. "You will need help," she said. "The wastes are unforgiving, and others will come for you." Kale frowned. "Why help me?" Lysera hesitated. "Because no one else could fight like you did. And perhaps, because I am curious." Thus began an unlikely partnership. Lysera, trained in Virelian combat and politics, guided Kale through the treacherous landscape. Together, they navigated collapsing cities, storming sand dunes, and ambushes from scavengers who had learned of Kale's defiance. During their journey, Lysera's admiration grew. She had trained with warriors who wielded plasma blades and energy shields, Yet nothing prepared her for the raw determination she saw in Kale's every punch, every movement. He adapted, improvising with his body, using terrain and speed, turning disadvantages into victories. And Kale, for his part, began to respect Lysera. She was fierce, disciplined, and unlike anyone he had ever met. Her alien nature didn't frighten him, it fascinated him. Her stories of virility, of politics and warriors, opened a world he had never imagined. By the time they reached the abandoned energy hub known as the Shattered Core, they were a team not just in survival, but in understanding and trust. Middle. Confrontation at the Shattered Core. The Shattered Core was a massive complex of ruined energy conduits and collapsed observation decks. It was rumored to house a faction of mercenaries selling weapons to the highest bidder. And now, it was their only hope to find a way to escape the wastes and the Reaver's remnants. They entered cautiously, sand crunching beneath boots and claws. Kale led with instinct, Lysera covered their flanks, using energy pulses that disrupted surveillance sensors. Inside, they were confronted by Korath, a notorious warlord with cybernetic implants and a reputation for ruthlessness. He smiled, metallic teeth glinting. "So, the human survived," Korath said, voice reverberating through the hall. "And now, he has an alien princess as his companion?" Kale stepped forward, fists clenched. "Step back, or I'll make you regret it." Lysera placed a hand on his shoulder, shaking her head slightly. "Let me handle him." The battle was fierce. Lysera moved like liquid, her bioluminescent strikes sending sparks through Korath's circuitry. Kale fought beside her, improvised maneuvers tearing apart reinforced limbs, dodging attacks with human unpredictability that even Korath could not anticipate. At one point, Korath aimed a plasma blade at Lysera. Kale threw himself in the way, absorbing the strike with his shoulder, adrenaline and instinct carrying him forward. Pain shot through him, but he didn't falter. Lysera's heart raced as she watched. He had risked everything for her. Finally, with a coordinated strike, Lysera and Kale disabled Korath. The warlord slumped to the floor, sparks flying from his implants. Lysera exhaled, her glowing veins dimming. She turned to Kale, voice trembling. You risked yourself. Again. Why? Kale smiled faintly. Because someone had to. For a moment, the chaos faded. She stepped closer. Her hand brushed his arm. I've wanted someone like you for a long time. Kale's eyes widened. Like me? Lysera nodded. Strong, reckless, alive. Barehanded, facing impossible odds, human. He laughed softly, shaking his head. I wish I was worthy. You already are, she whispered, eyes glinting with sincerity. Ending, a bond forged in chaos. The wastes were no longer just a desolate place of death. With Korath defeated and the mercenary threat neutralized, Kale and Lysera found a way to signal the outer worlds. Rescue ships came within cycles, picking them up and returning them to safe territory. But something had changed. The human who had once struggled alone was no longer just surviving, he was respected, admired, and, most importantly, seen. Lysera remained by his side, their bond forged in the fire of battle and the unpredictability of the wastes. She whispered often of admiration and longing, and Kale, for the first time, understood that strength was not measured by muscles or weapons alone, but by courage, heart, and the will to protect others. In the weeks that followed, stories of the human who fought barehanded and survived the wastes spread across galaxies. Some laughed at the tale, but many whispered with awe. And somewhere, watching the stars from her ship, Lysera whispered again, almost to herself. I wish he was mine. This time, Kale was there to hear it. And he smiled, because perhaps he had finally found someone who saw him not as a fragile human, but as something greater. Together, They looked toward the horizon, toward new worlds, new battles, and a future they would face side by side. And the galaxy, for once, had nothing to mock. End.